Steal a head of cabbage? Death penalty. Spend the day being lazy on the couch? Death penalty. Forgot to pay back a debt? Well, you get the drill. 2,600 years ago in Athens, there was a guy named Draco. He believed that every single crime, from murder to stealing a snack, deserved the exact same fate. That's where the term draconian comes from. They say he didn't write his laws in ink, he wrote them in blood. But here's the kicker. Draco wasn't even the most brutal one out there. Back then, laws weren't about justice, they were about sending a message to criminals, to the gods, or even to a literal river. Today, I'm showing you 5 ancient legal systems that make zero sense. We're going from putting inanimate objects on trial to a story you won't believe. A father who gouged out his own eye just to save his son from his own law. Ready to see why we're lucky to live in the 21st century? Start with the oldest full legal code we have. Babylon's King Hammurabi carved almost 300 laws into a 7-foot stone pillar. It sits in the Louvre now. In his kingdom, a jury didn't decide guilt. A river did. Accuse a wife of cheating with no witness, and she had to jump into the Euphrates. Drown, and the verdict was guilt. Swim, and the river had cleared her name. Accuse a man of murder and fail to prove it, and the court executed you instead of him. Hammurabi's own phrase, an eye for an eye, only worked between equals. A free man who blinded another free man lost his own eye. Blind someone else's slave, and he just paid half that slave's price. Justice ran on a price list. Assyria went further. The Middle Assyrian laws even controlled who got to wear a veil. Married women had to wear one. Enslaved women and prostitutes couldn't. That distinction was written directly into the law. A man who spotted an unveiled slave wearing one anyway and let her go instead of turning her in faced 50 lashes. Then his ears were pierced, a cord run through them, and his hands tied behind his back. Steal jewelry from a noblewoman, and the slave who handled it lost a nose and both ears. Status showed up on the body. You read someone's rank by what was left of their face. Now the word you already know. Athens brought in Draco to stop rich families settling scores with blood feuds, and it worked. Look at the sentences he wrote instead. Murder got the death penalty, so did sacrilege, and so did stealing a single cabbage. But the strangest charge was what the Greeks called idleness. No trade, no job, no visible income. Proving idleness under Draco is undocumented. 50 years later, Solon fixed that gap by creating a council to investigate every Athenian man's livelihood. False accusations, meanwhile, carried no penalty at all. Draco never wrote a law against it. Athens only added that protection decades later, under Solon's democracy, and it existed mainly to stop courts from drowning in bad lawsuits, not to protect the falsely accused. Reporting your neighbor was safer than stealing his cabbage. Someone once asked Draco why the punishments were so extreme. Legend says he answered that small crimes deserved death as much as big ones, since he'd run out of harsher penalties. People nicknamed his code written in blood, not ink, almost immediately. Solon repealed nearly all of it less than 50 years later. One law survived: murder. The adjective outlived the code. Earlier than that, a Greek colony on the southern tip of Italy was drowning in lawlessness. Locrians asked the Delphic oracle how to fix it, and the oracle told them to write their own laws. They picked a man named Zaleucus, called a shepherd in some sources, a slave in others. That left an obvious problem. A city doesn't obey a former shepherd for no reason. Zaleucus solved it by claiming the goddess Athena had dictated the laws to him in a dream. Locrians didn't argue with a goddess, and the code passed. He added one more rule to keep anyone from tampering with it later. Propose a new law, or try to change an old one, and you had to argue your case in front of the council of 1,000 with a rope around your neck. Lose, and they strangled you on the spot. Locri reportedly changed one law in 2 centuries. Then came the case that made Zaleucus famous. His own code said thieves lose an eye. His son got caught stealing. The city offered to waive the penalty out of respect for the father. Zaleucus refused. He gouged out one of his own eyes, then one of his sons. Both men kept part of their sight. The law got what it demanded. Rome didn't bother writing a law against killing your own parent at first. The crime seemed too unthinkable to need one. so courts just tried it as ordinary murder. The first documented punishment came in 101 BC, when a man named Publicius Malleolus killed his mother. Rome sewed him into a leather sack and threw him into the sea. Parricidium covered more than just parents. Killing other close blood relatives counted too. Live animals joined the sack about a century later under the empire. Early sources mention only a snake. The full set of snake, dog, monkey, and rooster shows up in later accounts. Even emperors hesitated to use it. Suetonius wrote that Augustus avoided authorizing the sentence. In 80 BC, Cicero defended Sextus Roscius, a man accused of killing his father, by leaning on the punishment's horror. A crime this monstrous demanded proof beyond doubt, or an innocent man would end up in that sack. 5 legal systems, 5 different ideas of what counted as guilt. A river that could drown you for a lie you never told. A father who chose his own eye over a lighter sentence for his son. A sack designed to erase a person entirely. These systems shared one goal: proof, visible and physical, that the law meant exactly what it said. Modern courts don't ask a river to confirm your guilt anymore. We stop needing an audience for the punishment.